Hi, thank you for watching my channel, Your True Shelf. My name's Sarah and today I'm going to do my TBR for June and July. So I'll just crack straight on. I've got a lot of books from the library this month because I've been ordering books to try and curb my spending because I've been getting so many recommendations from lovely booktube people. So I've been ordering a lot from the library, so a lot of them are things I picked up while I was there. So the first two are books I have actually bought. The first one is Miscegenation by Laura Bates. I haven't read any other of Laura Bates' books, but I've heard of her and her feminist writing sound really interesting. And this book, I'm sure you've probably heard of it. I picked it up in the supermarket and it's about sexism in the workplace, in the home, in the media, in institutions, and it's obviously very topical at the moment because of the Me Too movement. And I'm really looking forward to reading this. I'm sure it'll make my blood boil at times, but I think it's really important to be educated about these events, whether you're a man or a woman or a child or an adult. And I'm definitely going to be talking to my children about this. My daughter's old enough to understand to an extent because she's only 4. But when as they grow up, I'm definitely going to be raising both my son and my daughter to be aware of these kind of issues. So it's really important for me to have books like this in the house. So the next book that I found, I'm super excited about. It is the Bosch vegan cookbook, and I have Lauren from Lauren and the Books to thank for this because she introduced me to this book, and I then found them on YouTube and I started making some of their recipes and they were amazing. So I found this in Tesco's again, and super excited to find it, and I've literally every time I've been on my day off I have cooked from it and it's brilliant. It's got gorgeous recipes, so can you see gorgeous pictures. There are cocktails, there's a breakfast section, a baking section, light bites, there's how to make your own Indian takeaway, Thai takeaway, there's loads of different stuff. Absolutely brilliant. The recipes are easy to follow and I absolutely love it, and the fact that I am vegan and I can actually eat every single thing in the book is amazing. That never happens to me, so that is brilliant. Highly recommend it whether you're vegan or not. My third purchase, I thought there was 2 but there's actually 3, is by Campbell. So I love Jen's booktube channel and I haven't read any of her books before, but I've heard so many people put this book on their best of the year so far lists, and Jen is just such a lovely person to watch and to hear talking, and so I had to buy her book and I bought it as a present for my friend Shona as well, and we're going to do a read along together. So this is made up of short stories. So it sounds really cool, like spirits in jam jars, mini apocalypses, sideshows, mermaids, a girl runs a coffin hotel, and a couple are rewriting the history of the world in the middle of the night. So it sounds really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. I'm sure I will enjoy it. So all the rest of them are books which I have got from the library. So this is my next choice. I've just started reading this yesterday. This is The Diet Myth by Tim Spector. I heard him talking on the Feel Better Live More podcast and thought he sounded so interesting. It's all about diet, gut health, and as you know from previous videos, this is really of interest to me. It's not a very big book. I think it's about 270 pages. So far it's very readable and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm trying to learn all I can, soak up as much knowledge as I can about stuff like this which interests me so that I can help pass it on to my patients and to you guys, and I am so far really enjoying it, and I will be reviewing it later on in my wrap up. So next is After the Fire by Will Hill. This is a book that I heard Lucy the reader talk about, and it's a YA book and it caught my imagination, and when I was in the library browsing I saw a copy on the shelf so I borrowed it. It says Father John controls everything inside the fence, and Father John likes rules, especially about never talking to outsiders, because Father John knows the truth. He knows what is right and what is wrong. He knows what is coming. Moonbeam is starting to doubt though. She's starting to see the lies behind Father John's words. She wants him to be found out. What if the only way out of darkness is to light a fire? And then the tag thing, it says, the things I've seen are burned into me like scars that refuse to fade. So it sounds a bit dystopian, a bit like a kind of cult fiction novel. But yeah, that sounds interesting and looking forward to reading that one. Next is one that I saw a long time ago, well I say a long time ago, last year, Exit West by Miscegenation. This is by the guy who wrote The Reluctant Fundamentalist, which I haven't read, but I have watched the film and enjoyed that. So this says, so in a city swollen by refugees, but mostly still at peace, or at least not yet openly at war, two young people notice one another. They share a cup of coffee, a smile, an evening meal. They try not to hear the sound of bombs getting closer every night, the radio announcing new laws, the public execution. Meanwhile, rumours are spreading of strange black doors and secret places across the city, doors that lead to London or San Francisco, Greece or Dubai. Someday soon, the time will come for this young couple to seek out one such door, joining the multitudes fleeing a collapsing city, hoping against hope, looking for their place in the world. So very topical, obviously, with all the atrocities and refugees that we have currently trying to escape their plight. And it was just a really interesting idea that you could step through almost like a portal and end up in another country or another city. So I thought that was really original, so I'm looking forward to this one. The next one is The Dark Circle by Linda Grant, which I saw around a lot last year. It's set in the 1950s, about two children who are sent to a sanatorium for TB. So I thought it would be interesting not only to hear the story and the people they meet, but also about the time, because that obviously happened to a lot of people. And I've heard good things about Linda Grant. I've had her on my radar for a while, but haven't read any of her books. Excuse me. So should be interesting to pick this one up. Next one I have mentioned before, When God Was a Rabbit by Sarah Winman. I saw this at the library and picked it up just because her second book, Tin Man, was so wonderful and amazing that I really wanted to read When God Was a Rabbit. I haven't read it yet because I only read Tin Man quite recently, and I like to sort of leave a bit of a gap between reading authors' books. But this is about a boy and a girl growing up, and it doesn't really tell you much about it on the blurb, which is really nice actually. But it's about them and their lives growing up. Next I have a bit of a chunky one. So The Year of the Runaways by Sanjeev Sahota, and this was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize 2015. I can't believe it was that long ago. This is about a group of men, I believe, who are living in London from India. So three young men from very different backgrounds come together in a journey from India to England, where they hope to begin something new, to support their families where they can, to build a future, to show their worth, to escape the past. They have almost no idea of what awaits them. In a dilapidated shared house in Sheffield, Tarshan, a former rickshaw driver, will say nothing about his life in Bihar. Avtar has a secret that binds him to the unpredictable Randeep. Randeep in turn has a visa wife in a flat on the other side of town, whose cupboards are full of her husband's clothes in case the immigration men surprise her with a visit. She is Narinda, and her story is the most surprising of all. So this sounds really, really interesting, and I love reading about other cultures and about other people's lives, and so I wanted to read this when it was shortlisted years ago, but I always have so many books on my radar, and so when I saw this in the library, then I picked it up straight away and borrowed it. The next two are ones that I have actually read already, one I've wrapped up and one I haven't. So the one that I've just finished is Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman. This is one which I saw browsing in the library, and obviously it's a very famous book. I've heard of it for years, and I've just never read it, so I just thought it would be a good idea to pick it up. I never used to read YA at all, and then I read a couple of YA books that I saw recommended on BookTube, and it really kind of got me into YA a bit. So this is a really interesting premise. So it says Callum is a naught, an inferior white citizen in a society controlled by the Black Crosses. Seffi is a cross and the daughter of one of the most powerful, ruthless men in the country. In their hostile, violent world, noughts and crosses simply don't mix. But when Seffi and Callum's childhood friendship grows into passionate love, they're determined to find a way to be together. So it's really interesting because it's about race, and it's about mixed race relationships, and it's about discrimination and prejudice, but it's all written from a society where white people are being discriminated against rather than doing the discrimination, which is obviously more common. And it's a really interesting perspective, and I won't talk about it anymore now because I'll talk about it in my wrap up. But that's that one. And the last one is one I've done a whole video about, which is the 4-pillar plan by Rangan Chatterjee, which I'm not going to talk about now because I've dedicated a whole video to this, my last video. It's the 4-pillar plan based on a chapter on relaxing, eating, moving and sleeping, and about how if we do the right things in those 4 areas we improve our health and our lifestyle. Let me know if you've read any of the books and what you thought about them, and any that you are hoping that you might read after seeing me talk about them just now. And I will be back soon with my wrap up for July. Hope you're having a lovely time in this beautiful weather. Bye!